We tried Liberianization, 26 businesses. Where are we with that? Nowhere. This is on the books for no reason, because as it is right now, it's already being undermined. I can tell you, foreigners own Liberia, and not just foreigners, but basically people from the Far East.
What do you mean? What do you mean by foreigners own Liberia?
Right now, the Lebanese and the Indians practically own Liberia.
In what sense? Can you provide some context to that?
They own the most money in Liberia. They do the most business in Liberia. What else can I say? Every business of consequence in Liberia is owned either by a Lebanese or an Indian. I mean, I want Elvis here to tell me I'm lying, or Jones here to tell me I'm lying, and then you present me with the fact, and I will show you a Haddad or whoever. Show me a real wealthy business Liberian who is on par doing business with in Liberia. I'm not talking about Liberian overseas, who have been able to erect a business in Liberia that is on par, with the Abijaudis, the Fahads, there's none. Why? Because we're not empowering ourselves. And so I think this is on the books for no reason, and it makes us look bad. I think the people are already doing what it is supposed to be stopping them from doing. So by it being on the books, I really believe it's inconsequential. I will have a lot more to say to that, but I will leave it to my colleagues here to react to what I just said.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that. Your points. I can see that Elvis just joined in. He is already having some disagreements with his facial expressions. So I'll give him the floor and then go to Dr. Jones. Elvis?
All right. Thank you, Russell. And hello to you, Mr. Nambo and Dr. Jones.
Hello,
I have to respectfully disagree with you, Mr. Nambo. And for background, let me say, I think your political leader has expressed, that he wants foreigners, of non-Negro descent to become citizens of Liberia. So I don't know where that's coming from. Well, we can speculate. But let me just say this. The intent of the original crafter of our Constitution, that has to always be front and center. What was their intent? These were people who came from ancestors who were enslaved in the United States. They were discriminated against purely based on their race. They were oppressed in this country purely based on their race and their ancestry within the United States of America. They sought refuge. They sought a land that would give them freedom and the ability to govern themselves and to forge their own destiny without the intervention of those who oppress them. So when they went to a land in Africa, Black Africa, on the African continent, they wanted a nation that would exclude those who had historically oppressed them. And anybody in their sensible mind would think that's a good idea. Would you now go into your own space and then invite the oppressors who oppressed you for hundreds of years to come and be amongst you? Of course not. So the intent is clear and the intent makes sense. Now, when you say that Lebanese control Liberia, first of all, they don't control real property. What is real property? Land. That's real property. Businesses and all these other things, they have to rent those stores. They don't own the land that the stores are sitting on. They may have a lot of more money and more resources than the average Liberian. That is a fact. I'm not denying that. There's two things with the Lebanese. A lot of them are running in a cartel-like circle or cabal-like circle where they borrow each other money. They circulate the money within their communities. Some of them get loans from their home countries. And sometimes, like we saw during the early 2000s, they are involved in illicit, dealings. Some of them are associated with Hezbollah. They're gun trafficking. They're doing all kinds of illicit things and then bring that money to pretty much money launder in Liberia by starting businesses with those illicit gains. So when you say they control our country, not really. They control our politicians because they have the most disposable wealth to share around and buy with politicians. But real property is where it matters. And the fact that they don't have citizenship, our nation can deport them can expel them if they feel like they're a threat or they're committing economic sabotage to us without any recourse because they're not citizens. They don't have the privilege and the rights of a citizen of a nation. So they're not on the same standing as a quote unquote native born Liberian who may not have the same resources as they do. So when people make this argument, that's why I say, look, why do you think these people are fighting for the right to become citizens of our country? Because they realize that they are restricted. There's certain things in our book that restrict them from doing certain things and from having certain rights. And the history of our country is unique. We may not be the most economically prosperous nation on the continent, but we have a very unique history on the continent. And those people who founded our country put that in the Constitution for a reason. And I, who have lived in this country for almost my entire life, I recognize and I realize why they put that there, and I agree with the sentiment. So to say that we should let Lebanese come and become citizens, or white people, or some people who have historically enslaved black people come into our lands and start buying up real property, buying up lands that many Liberians can't afford, spiking up the property, price of the land in our country. Many of us here now will probably not be able to afford, lands again. Lands will probably be in the tens of thousands for a plot of land. Is that something that we want because we want foreign people to become a citizen of our nation? Of course not. So I wholeheartedly agree with the provision, and I think it should remain there. And people like our former president to be advocating for it, people like Musa Ability to be advocating for it to be changed. I think they might have, ulterior motive and maybe even some sinister motive behind why they're trying to change that provision. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Jones, just before you start, can I ask a question to you? Does former President Sirleaf call to amend Article 27B reflect a genuine national need, or is it an attempt to correct a legacy she failed to address during her 12 years in office?
Well, first of all, I want to extend my greeting to Comrade